Over 25% of new car buyers in 2025 are making a $10,000 mistake that most don't even realize. Are you about to join them? Here's what Cox Automotive found. Right now, the average new car costs over $50,000 for the first time ever, and more than 1 in 4 owners already owe more than their vehicles are worth. But it gets even riskier with electric vehicles. Most shoppers will shell out $9,000 extra, missing a critical detail in the process. If you've ever wondered whether switching to an EV or grabbing a brand new ride is a smart move or a financial disaster, I'll break down the hidden numbers, the real cost of those government incentives, and teach you the 5 crucial steps to make sure you never find yourself underwater on your next car. Stick with me, and you'll walk away with a foolproof strategy to future-proof your car buying, not even as the rest of the market stumbles. Let's start with some numbers that might make you pause before you head to the dealership. As of September 2020, according to Kelley Blue Book, the average price of a brand new car in the United States just hit $50,080. That's not only a record, it's the first time in history we've ever seen car prices cross the $50,000 mark. And if you think that's wild, Cox Automotive reports the surge is being fueled by 3 converging forces: lower than expected loan rates, recently ongoing tariffs, and the rise of electric vehicles, each playing a hefty role in the cost spike. So why should you care? Because this isn't just a blip on the radar. This is directly tied to the economic divide that's reshaping how all of us buy cars. Just last week, I shared how the top 10% of wealthy Americans are driving half of all spending nationwide, propping up both the real estate and automotive markets. Cox Automotive confirms it too. Today's car market is being held up by buyers with deep pockets, strong credit, and easy access to loans while everyone else is left out, exposed to riskier financial outcomes. Here's a stat that'll make you double-check your own loan statement. Car loan debt in America is at a record high, and over 25% of new car owners owe more than their vehicles are worth, meaning they're underwater. According to a recent press release from Edmunds, those drivers are carrying an average of over $10,000 in negative equity. Let me say it again. A quarter of new owners are upside down by $10,000. Why? Many are trading up too quickly, rushed by FOMO during the pandemic boom, or they locked in high sticker prices with long-term loans when everyone was convinced they'd never be able to buy again. The result? Buyers are trapped, struggling to trade up or refinance unless they pile on even more debt. If you're nodding along, or worried you might be in the same boat, you're not alone. Pause for a second. Have you recently bought a car, or considered it in the past year? Comment below with your experience. I want to know if this kind of debt risk factored into your choice, or if you've had a shock looking at today's car values. Now, if you find yourself underwater on a loan, I want you to know you're not powerless. But the options are limited. Unless you can pay down the negative equity faster, your best move is usually to stay put. Keep making payments and avoid trading into another risky deal with even more debt attached. And if you do need to replace your car, make sure your next move is radically different. Choose a model and financing package that fits your real budget, not your fantasy budget. I'll show you exactly how in my 5 steps to debt-proof your vehicle purchase. Stay tuned because that's coming up fast. But first, let's break down the EV situation, because electric vehicles are driving this price spike more than most people realize. And I'm not knocking EVs. They've got a place in the market. But here's what the data says. Right now, getting a new EV comes with a hefty premium. According to Cox Automotive's latest comparison, as of last month, the average brand new EV costs $58,124. That's $8,000 more than the overall new car average, $50,000 or $80. And historically, the premium sits closer to $9,000. That's before you even consider which features or extended range models you might want. Remember the much-hyped $7,500 federal EV tax credit when it was active that nearly eliminated the cost difference between going electric and sticking with gasoline. But that program ended in September, and now buyers are once again shouldering the full premium, potentially indefinitely. Here's where the opportunity gap widens. In September, as people race to lock in those credits, EVs hit a record 11.6% share of new car sales. Yet, despite the headlines, just 9 out of 90 EV models in the US move more than 10,000 units per quarter, and only 4 EV brands are profitable. Tesla is the only American company pulling it off. Most others, like BYD in China, are still struggling to avoid the red. But even with record sales demand for EV, it is plateauing because the cost and infrastructure challenges aren't going away. Here's a curiosity loop. What about the battery savings everyone talks about? Does owning an EV really save you money long term, or are buyers ignoring hidden costs? Let's answer that. But first, why are EVs still so expensive? The big culprit is batteries. If you want gasoline-level range, you need a massive expensive battery, often making up to 40% of a car's total value. Those batteries depend on materials like lithium and cobalt, costing thousands per ton, and consumers keep asking for more miles between charges. That's driving prices even higher. Now, if you do own an EV, or think you might want one, what concerns are holding you back? Drop a comment below or a money bag if you can relate to this. A 2024 J.D. Power study found over half of would-be buyers cite charging availability as their top fear. It's not just where you'll charge, but how long it takes. Whether public chargers work a lot, don't, and whether you'll have to wait in line. Fast charging usually only gets your battery to about 80%, and the remaining 20% can add significant time. The industry knows this and is racing to solve it with real progress. Median EV range has improved from just 68 miles in 2011 to 283 miles in 2024. But don't be fooled by the sticker. That's under perfect conditions from 100% down to 0. In reality, most drivers never deplete their battery fully, and things like hills cold or heavy use can slash range drastically. Charging up to 80% on a fast charger still can take nearly an hour, with the most common US stations right now. All right, let's bring in the money math. The promised 13-year cost side by side. This is where a lot of people expect EVs to shine. According to US Energy Department data, if you buy a 2025 Nissan Leaf starting at $28,000 and drive it for 13 years, your total cost comes to about $63,000, factoring in fuel maintenance, insurance, registration, and so on. But here's the curveball. A 2025 Kia Soul starting at $20,000 comes out almost exactly the same, also totaling $63,000 over 13 years. That's despite the gas power. And a Toyota Corolla at $64,000 for the same span only costs you $1,000 more. In practical terms, outside of special charging setups with solar at home, which most owners don't have, the cost-saving benefit of EVs isn't as large as a lot of headlines suggest. The sticker price, fuel maintenance, and other real-world factors often cancel out the difference. Let's see it visually. Imagine a chart that shows all 3 cars tracking neck and neck across that 13-year run. The real cost of car ownership isn't just the sticker price. It's what you pay after you drive off the lot. Screenshot that concept for your records, because this surprises a lot of buyers. Before I dive into the step-by-step framework, here's something to chew on. Have you ever regretted a car purchase or found yourself stuck with negative equity? Share your story below. The more we talk about these mistakes, the more we help each other avoid them next time. Now, I promised practical steps, so let's go. Here are the 5 steps to debt. Proof your vehicle purchase, built from analyzing hundreds of real-world buyer scenarios and current market data. Each step could save you thousands. Let's take them one by one. Step 1. Calculate your true break-even point. Don't look at just the monthly payment. Add up the full expected cost, purchase price, down payment, tax, insurance, estimated repairs, and likely resale value. Use online calculators like Edmunds True Cost to own or NerdWallet's Auto Loan Calculator. To get your personalized number, your goal is to hit equity owe less than it's worth within 3 years, not 7. Case study: one family bought a gently used 3-year-old hybrid, ran the numbers, and realized it would break even in just 27 months, thanks to lower depreciation, saving them an estimated $4,500 over buying new. Step 2. Demand a 13-year total cost breakdown before you buy. Challenge the dealer or yourself for a spreadsheet that tracks every annual expense, not just the upfront deal. Plug in expected gas or electricity, costs, regular servicing tires, and estimated insurance rate changes. If you're set on an EV, factor in public charging fees or home electrical upgrades. These catch a lot of people by surprise. Compare it directly to a competing gas model. Remember from earlier, as of 2025's data, the 13-year difference for a Nissan Leaf versus a Kia Soul is 0. Many buyers never see this coming until it's too late. Screenshot or save this principle. Dealers bank on you ignoring it. Step 3. Avoid extended loan terms. Stay under 5 years. Nearly all buyers who end up underwater signed for 6 or even 7 years, chasing a lower monthly payment, but guaranteeing negative equity for most of that term. If the loan requires extra years to fit your budget, you're overspending. Instead, aim for 48 months or less. Real example. Across all my Money Masters subscribers who bought with 4-year or shorter loans, less than 10% ever ended up underwater, even through market downturns. If this rule makes you pause, or you've already taken out a 6-year or longer loan, hit like right now, so more careful buyers can find this advice and avoid the pain of negative equity. Step 4. Only trade or sell when positive equity is guaranteed. Never roll negative equity forward. Many buyers trade in recent models to upgrade, but bury unpaid balances into the new loan, resulting in that $10,000 mistake. Use Edmunds or Kelly Blue Book's tools to track your car's valuation versus loan balance before making a move. If you must drive an older vehicle longer, consider the savings. Typically, 3% of subscribers surveyed who waited for positive equity before trading saved over $2,000 compared to those who traded with negative equity. Step 5. Future-proof for tech and incentive shifts. With charging speeds, compatibility, and government incentives in constant flux, you cannot count on subsidies or next-gen tech upgrades suddenly applying to your current car. Before you buy, ask, will this vehicle still be supported and easily resold in 5 years? Watch for charging standards like upcoming 600 kilowatt-hour chargers and factor in the resale uncertainty for models that may not qualify in future. Incentive programs. Early adopting the fastest charging EVs like Lucid Gravity at 400 kilowatts sounds exciting, but only makes sense if you truly need the tech and can stomach a likely resale premium. Case study. A Money Masters viewer avoided a $7,500 loss by switching plans when he found out his newly bought EV wouldn't be compatible with the next generation of chargers. He used our checklist to research before signing. There you have it. The 5 steps to debt-proof your vehicle purchase. Now you can see how every major financial pain point, from underwater loans to talk of hidden EV costs, can be sidestepped with evidence-based step-by-step discipline. Before you click away, let's tackle a few forward-looking realities, because a lot of the pain in today's car market comes from failing to anticipate what's next, not just what's now. Charging speed upgrades are coming fast. In 2026, ChargePoint will roll out chargers to 600 kilowatt hours, up from today's 350 kilowatts in the US. In China, BYD already has 1 megawatt chargers on the street, meaning 250 miles of range in just 5 minutes. But in the US, you'll need one of the newest EV models to access these faster chargers. Current cars won't be compatible. That means, ironically, that the very people eager for the fastest charging often face another huge sunk cost: buying yet another pricey new EV just to use next-gen infrastructure. The Lucid Gravity leads the US in charging capability, but even it only hits 400 kilowatts, and the 600 kilowatt-hour tech outpaces in all current vehicles on American roads. This leads to a perverse cycle. To keep up with incentives in technology, buyers are pressured into ever pricier choices, which only deepen the overall debt trap, and manufacturers, even titans like GM and Ford, have lost billions betting on fast EV adoption, mostly due to slower than hyped demand and evaporating subsidies. Automakers are scaling back, refocusing on gas and hybrid vehicles in response to consumer reality. Not just pledges. This is not just a US story. In Europe, Volkswagen recently announced plans to cut 35,000 jobs as it rebalances away from unrealistic zero-emission targets for 2035. In China, the world's single biggest EV market, adoption has soared past 60%, but nearly none of the 118 EV startups are making a profit, and most are expected to go bust in the next 5 years. If you're curious how these trends will affect your own financial decision, let's compare. In the US, even with generous subsidies over the past 4 years, projections for EV adoption in 2030 have been slashed in half instead of 36%. The industry now expects just 18% of new cars sold to be fully electric. Used Teslas may hit as low as $15,000 or $20,000 2025, making them tempting, but that also signals a glut and trouble holding value. Around the world, hybrids are gaining more ground than EV. The best-selling cars in both Europe and the US are now hybrids, not full electrics. Every time I ask our Money Masters community, I hear the same consensus. Hybrid is the best of both worlds. Higher gas mileage, less charging anxiety, greater flexibility. If you agree or want to debate that, chime in below. If you had to choose today, would you take a new EV, a used gas car, or stick with what you've got? Let's get the debate going. Together we can spot the smartest play. To ground it all back to your daily life, remember, the only sustainable auto market is one that meets only real buyer preferences and actual financial capacity, not just flashy incentives or forced adoption. Manufacturers are pivoting, and so should you. Always buy for your needs, not for the latest promise or government nudge. As we wrap up, here's your live micro action. Download my free 2025 Car Buyer's Debt-Proof Checklist. Link is in the description below. Use it as a double check before you make any major commitment, and keep this in mind. The real cost of car ownership isn't just the sticker price, it's what you pay after you drive off the lot. Do your research, run your numbers, and follow the 5 steps to debt-proof your next purchase. And finally, let me remind you, this content is for educational purposes only and does not constitute personalized financial or investment advice. Car values. Loan terms and new technologies change rapidly. Always do your own research, read the latest sources, or consult a licensed professional before making a big purchase or taking out a loan. Comment your current situation hit like if these steps help you, especially if you're trying to avoid underwater loans. And don't forget to download your debt-proof checklist for 2025. Subscribe to Money Masters if you want clear, step-by-step guides that turn anxiety into action. The next video will break down the exact index-based investments that can help your car fund outpace inflation. Turn on notifications so you don't miss it. See you there.